So I also like to echo how grateful I am to be here, organizers, and also all the participants. I'm immensely learning and immensely grateful about everything that has happened and learned so far. So my name is Sujung Kim at DePaul University. There is one DePaul in Chicago, but this one is in Indiana. So what I'm going to present today is basically maybe you can think about what Rachel presented in the very beginning, the first day, very exciting, right? Presentation about first year seminar. So very similar environment. So DePaul University is very similar to Davidson. Most of our students come from actually this Midwest area, Chicago, like Indiana around. Maybe 10% international student body, and a lot of them are from China. But still, it's very, very white. For instance, I'm the only Korean resident living in that city that has like 10,000 people. Again, DePaul, very similar to Davidson. The liberal arts college, 2,000 students. I don't know whether you know about liberal arts college. It's a very unique system in the United States, about 500 liberal arts college all over the country, because we have very large Greek system. So close to 70% students are affiliated with Greek systems, which means academic calendar is secondary to them. They have their own calendar of doing things. So faculty has to be aware of what's going on in sorority and fraternities in this time, in this year. But 2,000 students and 200 faculty members, so our classroom tends to be very small. So what I'm talking about may not be applicable to very large state universities or some other setting. So this is outline of what I'm going to talk about. So basically, I'd like to tell you how I plan and what are the major challenges when I teach this class called Buddhism and Film. It's in our system, it's a 200 level course. The first 100 level course is mainly very introductory. 200 level is something more topic specific. 300 level and 400 level is the highest one where you have more seminar or more discussion based. So anyway, this is 200 level course, and I'm going to tell you all these things one by one. So starting from planning, and then toward to the end, I'm going to show you the final products of this course. I've taught twice, so I'm not super expert on teaching this subject, but both times I feel like it was a great success. So, but I've been teaching at DePaul for 6 years. I got tenure, so that's why I'm wearing. That's why I'm also wearing sweatpants, also inspired by Francis, but right? We can all wear sweatpants after tenure, maybe. So when I got here, as you know, our grad school program doesn't teach you how to become a good teacher. They will train you how to become a good researcher. So you start with the researching, right? How to teach this course that I haven't taught before. So this course, again, is cross-listed with film studies. So I will expect to have some students who know about film or who has immense interest in film studies. So first thing, as we all do, go to Google and find a bunch of syllabi, Buddhism and film. That is definitely helpful, but this one I briefly mentioned the first day, right? Buddhism has, I think they launched about 2 years ago, or it's relatively new, but this is another resources, and Wabash Center, we talked about it too. But I think the most helpful syllabi that I got was from other fields. So like English department or film studies, professors, after talking to them, I kind of get more ideas about how to teach this course. So I'm going to talk about this, but I'm just mentioning this because to give them credit. This is not my idea, but I'm going to talk about it later soon. So this course has two goals. The first one is basically I want to teach Buddhism through films, right? So one goal is gain knowledge about major Buddhist doctrines, ideas. And also I'm trained as a more sort of transnational, but mostly East Asian. So I'm mostly covering East Asian materials, but also if I can expand a little bit more to other parts of Buddhist tradition. Second part of the goal is to learn the challenges and benefits of the collective learning. I want my students to learn about how difficult to learn from each other and do things together. And often that becomes a failure. And I know that we all, as a scholar, we want to be, alone and doing things alone. At least me, I'm very introverted too. But I know that learning together also has tremendous impact. So that's two goals. And I kind of try to build some other assignments to meet these two goals. Major assignment is, now you're looking at my syllabus. I didn't put everything because liberal arts college, again, we have a lot of smaller assignments. Students like to have smaller assignments than one midterm and one final. If I did that, probably my course evaluation is really, really low. So students expect to have more assignments and more discussion-based. So this is kind of meeting their expectations. So first thing is weekly online posting. So we have this platform called Moodle, free. That's why we are using it. So students are asked to write after reading, watching one film. So they meet weekly. So they watch one film by themselves, and then also they read paired readings, one or two readings, kind of corresponding to the movie. And then they have to write online posting. I'm going to tell you more about it soon. So main point of this first assignment is to get them more in writing experience. Second one is group presentation. So in the beginning of the semester, I kind of group students. Week 1, you guys are going to present about film that we're gonna watch in week 3, let's say. Then by week 2, these students already have watched. So they are the one who is in charge of kind of giving some sort of major snapshots of that movie that everyone is going to watch in the following week. So this particular assignment is for hitting the speaking part of students. They also, I think it's important to have more public speaking experience. And the third one is film critique paper. This is just in case I'm gone, they have something to do while I'm gone. So basically very specific 5 paragraph. First paragraph, you do this. So basically how to kind of do writing better, but also following particular task that I asked them to do. The last one is probably what I like to highlight. That's why I also highlighted here too. But it's a more creative project because I think film can be, you can passively watching it, but you can actively making it too. So this particular project is, I don't have midterm or finals, but this is the one that I mostly, I think it's 30% of the whole grade. So I'm going to explain more about it in a minute. The class meets, as I said, on a weekly basis. It's too long, right? 3 hours. So usually it starts with a mini lecture from me. It's very short, but kind of capturing main points about the readings or the theme of that particular week. And then we're gonna have some discussion based on the readings. And at that point, they all have watched the movies. So we're gonna talk about a little bit of that, but not too much. Right? Well, actually, a lot. We talk a lot. And then a lot, that's right. And then the very end, the very end of the class, each class time is, as I said, group of students come, and then they say, okay, when you watch the next week's film, pay attention to this. Or they kind of give some ideas about director's director actually appears in that movie too, those kind of little things. So without spoiler, they kind of give some ideas about the following week's movie. So these are the movies that I use. I kind of tweaked, sorry, it's kind of font is a little bit small, and it's a little bit off here too, but I sometimes, change and replace depending on what I do, what is my main goal. But as you see, Tibetan, Bhutanese, and then Chinese, Korean movie, and then Japanese, and some other European one. One thing that you may notice is there is a big Ravatsky. Why? What the hell? It's there, right?
That's where it should be.
You think so? So that movie I did not know until my husband said, "You know, this is a hilarious movie." The whole have you seen? How many of you have seen it? Oh my!
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a cult movie.
Required viewing for anyone in this room.
Really? That's very good to know because I did not know. But when I show it to students, students are divided into two groups. Totally like it, totally hate it.
It's a new generation.
Right. Yeah. And this is only 2 times, so it may be different when I teach next time. But often male students really like it. And often female students don't really get the joke. Let's go bowling, and they don't really get what's going on, right? But anyway, these are the films that I use. And also you have noticed that there are a mixture of documentaries and also fictional movies. And they have particular challenges and some interesting tensions, as I'm going to talk about in a minute too. So, as I said, this is movie, but also about how the one main reason is I want to teach Buddhist ideas through films. So I think I need to really careful about what to pair for the particular films. So, for instance, when we talk about Okuribito, is a Japanese movie, The Departures, right? I then pair with Mark Rowe's piece on death, because death is definitely a big theme of this piece. Or if I teach Big Ravatsky, then thankfully there are some literature out there. So, for instance, when we want to talk about Zen antinomianism, right, and these characters in the movie is a really good example to talk about what Zen masters would do, right? If meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha, that kind of concept is very foreign to students. But I'd like to give you some more closer reading of my syllabus. So each week, one film and related readings, and students' job is to, after they digest these readings and films, they have to respond in written form. Students like to have a lot of instructions, I think, or at least our students, they want to know every little detail, how they do it. So I have to be very careful or patient with them. So I tell them I'm not asking too long response, because if I make it too long, they wouldn't do it. So make it very manageable, 2 paragraphs. And first paragraph, I ask them to, in this paragraph, you analyze the film, engage with the broader themes, try to avoid a simple statement like I like or dislike, because it's very easy, people that easily fall into that, right? Oh, I hated this character, or I hated this entire film, right? So I tell them try not to do that, but try to be more, also no summary, right? This is not one, I'm asking is more one step further to focus on the main themes and overall structure. So I asked them to, this is all incorporated into my syllabus. So if they can hit some of these questions that I put here, and I usually give them a solid grade for that particular assignment. So the second paragraph for this weekly posting, I asked them to respond to these answers. So again, do not summarize the reading, but what is the intended purpose of this assigned chapter and article? What are the most important points that the author is trying to convey, all these things. So usually students, so before the class starts, I usually skim through all these things and collect some ideas or questions from these responses. And usually it really helps me to prepare what to talk about in that given day's classroom. So now I'd like to move on to actual movies. as I said in the beginning, I have two goals. One goal is to talk about major Buddhist ideas and doctrines, practices. So here are some challenges, right? A lot of students in my school, they haven't heard about like bubble teas, for instance. They don't know what it is. Can you believe?
We only got 4 restaurants.
Exactly. So
Class trip to Toronto. Save them.
So film is really, in a way, it's just so necessary because I don't have anything else to actually show them. Look, this is it. This is little bubbles, and make feel very good and all this. So major challenges. So some students have some ideas. A lot of our students, I find, they have some mixed groups. Some have some ideas about Buddhism because they went to Catholic school, and Catholic school tend to give intro to religions class to high schoolers. So they have, if the instructor did a good job, they remember things from Hermann Hesse's Starta. And they kind of know what Buddha is. He's not God, that kind of thing. But majority still do not know what Buddhism is, right? So, yeah, I was thinking of some silly joke, but probably shouldn't.
It's okay.
That's right. So there are a couple of challenges, and I'm just pointing this out as a way to invite further discussion. I haven't figured out how to overcome these challenges, but for instance, now the Korean cinema is sort of a hot house in the international film scene. But before Bong Joon-ho's big hit, this one was steady seller in Buddhists, at least Buddhist circle, right? Spring, summer, autumn, and spring. The right title. This one is really interesting because a lot of students have not exposed to Korean Buddhist setting. And after watching this, they are very widely confused, or they think, oh, all the Korean Buddhist temples are looking the beautiful lake and floating in the middle. It's not, right? And another thing, I'm teaching modern Buddhism this semester, and one student, she's a Chinese student, very devoted Tibetan Buddhist practitioner. She does full prostration and sutra copying every morning before come to the classroom. So she knows stuff, and she wants to go to PhD program for Tibetan Buddhist studies. So knowing all her background still, she said that in other previous weeks modern Buddhism class this semester, she said, oh, I had a Chinese friend who claims to be a Buddhist, but she didn't know anything about Buddhism. Therefore, I introduced this particular film. And oh my God, I didn't say that to her because she was making this as kind of point of proud. I've done this, professor, But no, this is, a lot of them are fictionalized or imagined, or even the director is not even a Buddhist, as you all know, right? So it's a Buddhist themed movie, and there are some interesting aspects that you can really unpack. Karma being very obvious theme of this movie, but a lot of them are not so real. And for us, it's very obvious, right? We kind of studied very hard to understand all this complex picture, but for students who encounter Buddhism for the first time, they have hard time to figure out what is what. So this is one challenge for my student. The second one is there are some academic narrative about Buddhism. We talked about Natasha's presentation about, right? We have this grand narrative about what Buddhism is and all these things, or stereotype or popular image of Buddhism, right? So those things are a little bit challenging. If they know some Buddhism, this one, do you know this one? This is Amongst White Clouds, this beautiful documentary about some Buddhist hermits in China, Zhongnan, Mountain Zhongnan, in somewhere in China. Well done movie, but a lot of students, after watching this, Buddhism is all about meditation. We talked about it with Davis, right? So those things is some major challenge that I have to deconstruct and kind of break it down, all these modern conception or misconceptions about what Buddhism is. right? And what academic discourse, because we talk about Buddhism, right? So it's not about Buddhism. So this is another challenge that I have. The third one, your favorite, Vygotsky. Sometimes, right, we all do that, or at least I do it, oversimplification. Oh, that's that. Buddhism is that. It's all about simplicity. Buddhism is all about, being in the zone or being in the Zen, moment, and quick generalization of, Buddhism is this and that. Or I tend to pick movies from different Buddhist traditions. So the benefit of it is now students know all the differences. Tibetan Buddhist is different, Chinese Buddhist is different, but then the movie that I selected becomes some sort of major sort of face of this particular tradition. So that has a danger to give them some sort of less sophisticated image of that particular religious Buddhist tradition. At this point, I talk a lot about Edward Said, how this is a very epidemic problem in Hollywood movies. The second point is collective learning. So as I said, preview, I talked about it, so I will go a little bit quickly here. And then group filmmaking, this is what I wanted to really talk a lot, but I only have 1 minute now. So one thing is I use iMovie on Apple. It's built-in free, and I asked them to go to our university's media lab to get trained. It's very easy. You don't need training, but just in case. And they kind of get really excited about how editing works and all these things. And also, if there are faculty members who are willing to come to my class, like film, professors, come and give them more tips how to shoot a better film. So one good thing that I do, I think, is scaffolding. So it's not you have to do it by this time. I give them over 2-3 weeks span. Give them enough time and provide enough guidelines. At each stage, you need to do this. And then I give them feedback on each stage. So this is how scaffolding looks like. Give them project overview. They have to give it to me. And then they also do a storyboard. And then after that, they have rough material, video clips. So it's not unedited clips. They give it to me, and then I look at all these things and give them comments and all these things. And then they give me edited film, rough version, in-progress version, and then at the end, there's a final product. And the final product, we do some sort of Oscar thing. So if you go to Amazon, they sell a little small statue, and the Oscar, so I can give them and do all these things.
This is made by your students.
Hey Rachel, I'm Detective Sid. I'm here to see what's going on with your sister. What's been the issue?
She felt ill last night and we have no idea why. Thank you so much for coming.
Mm-hmm. Well, I brought my kid along, so I'm going to run a few tests if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Let's see what's going on with you. I'm going to take a few blood samples here, maybe a DNA test, and we'll see what's going on.
Hi, Detective Sid. Did you get the test results back yet?
Yeah, I got the results back. It turns out she's suffering. A lot of humans actually experience this.
But what does that mean? Why is she suffering?
Yeah, I know this isn't my area of expertise, but I'm gonna do a little research and I'll get right back to you. Okay? All right, bye.
Mexico doesn't want people, they're forcing them into our country, and we're taking them and we're putting them in our jails and our hospitals, and we're paying them money through different sources. It's a disgrace.
When you're too busy looking down, you don't see the chances you miss. So look up from your phone, shut down those displays. We have a finite existence, a set number of days. Don't waste your life getting caught in the net, as when the end comes, nothing's worse than regret.
Rachel, this is some new stuff called Nirvana, and I think this is really your best shot at helping your sister out and curing her of whatever's suffering she's having right now.
Okay,
I think that should do the trick. Let me know how else I can help.
Okay, thank you.
So thanks for inviting me out for a walk. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're feeling a lot better.
Yeah, no problem. You know, I've always wondered if there's a way that people could stop suffering without medicine.
Yeah, I think we should check that out. Noble truths.
So I have something else about how to grade group work, but I know my time is short, so I probably stop here. Thank you for your listening.